Hi, it's Jane Mason here from Virtuous Bread, and I wanted to show you today how to put together rye dough and shape it to go into a tin. So rye is really interesting. You don't need to knead rye flour. It has gluten, but it has a different kind of gluten to wheat flour. It doesn't get stretchy, it doesn't develop if you knead it, so there's really no point. In my bowl, I've got a whole bunch of ingredients, and the recipe is on the website for putting together a wonderful loaf of rye bread. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir it, check the texture to see if it's soft enough and wet enough to make delicious bread, because rye flour absorbs a lot of water. So if it's too dry, it tends to be heavy and claggy and dull, and people don't like it very much, but it can be very light and very delicious. So I'm going to stir it together, I'm going to check it for texture, and then I'm going to pick it up and put it into the tin. So using my scraper, I'm going to stir it all. What I've got in here are some wonderful pumpkin seeds that I soaked overnight to make them nice and soft. That way they don't pull out all the moisture in the dough, and they're also more digestible if you soak them and then rinse them off. And I also have some molasses that will give this bread color. Rye is a bit beige, so the molasses just makes it a little bit darker. You might have seen pumpernickel bread before, and usually that does have quite a bit of molasses in it, which gives it its nice black color. So all I'm doing now is stirring it together with my scraper, okay? And obviously there's salt in here as well, and yeast naturally, and water. And I've also put in a little bit of ground coriander and a tiny bit of ground cumin, okay? So now that dough is all together, and what I want to do is I want it to be soft, okay? I'm going to push it just with my finger, just like that. And for me, okay, it's hard to describe texture. I'm hoping you can see it. It's a little bit stiff, okay? It's not easy to push my finger into. I want it to be really soft and really silky feeling. Rye is a bit curious. It is both sticky and slimy really at the same time. So I'm going to add just a tiny bit more water. I probably put in 25 grams. And I'm going to take my scraper again. Of course I could use my hands, but rye is very sticky. So once it's on you, it's not going anywhere. Okay? So I'm just folding in that water like this. Okay? And I am going to test it again, but I can see it's glossy. It has a gloss on it now that it didn't have before. And I'm wondering if you can see. I'm going to push it out. See, it's very soft, extremely soft, like your favorite mud pie kind of soft. Okay? Now, to get this into a tin, there's a bit of a knack because, as I said, it's super sticky. And the real trick is to have a bowl of water handy. Here's my water. And it's got, the reason it's kind of beige is because it's got rye flour in it. I've been making lots of loaves. And I'm going to completely wet my hands, totally soaking wet, dripping. I'm going to pick this up now. I'm going to just shape it. The softer it is, the harder it is to shape, but I'm going to pass it from hand to hand. If you stick to the dough at all, just wet your hands a bit more, okay? And then do your best. It's very forgiving, okay? And see how it's leaving fingerprints in it. See, there's the palm print from my hand. So shape it, smooth it, okay? Get it into a little bit of an oblong, like this. And then get your tin and literally pop it in. Don't worry about it. That will fill the tin. Don't squash it down into the corners. Don't, try and smooth the top any more than in a really simple and very light way. This is going to completely fill the tin. It will have a perfectly flat top, and then it will be ready for the oven. And that will take, anywhere between 2 and 3 hours, depending on the temperature of your kitchen. Now, this does need to be covered while it rises, and this is where our friend, the shower hat, I'm going to just tidy that up a bit, comes into its own. Here's the shower hat. I'm going to put it on top like this, okay? And what this does is it gives the dough, headspace so it can rise. but it's also because it's elasticated, it keeps it nice and airtight in there so that it doesn't dry out. Okay, I'm gonna come back to this when it's risen. Bye now.